Okay, welcome everybody. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Crystal. We have got a couple new faces, so that's always fun to see. And we have some leaders joining us who aren't always on, although we'd love for them to be on as much as they can. But I know not everyone's schedules work with that. So we're just happy to get them when we can. But I did a builder retreat last month. I helped with a builder retreat that Lacey did in North Carolina. We worked on that together, and it was a lot of fun. And one of the things that we did, we're going to talk about tonight. So during that section, I thought this would be such a great Monday Meetup topic. So I wanted to share it with all of you. So we're going to jump into that. But a couple months ago, some of you will remember, I talked about the belief and action cycle and how we're always having to fuel our belief with action, but we need our action to be fueled by belief. So it's this cycle that we have to learn how to fuel both of those things. And so we know what to do, but do we know who to be or what to be or how to become who we're trying to become? So we've talked a lot about habits and just the fact that who we show up as, that's going to really shift the energy wherever we show up. And so one of the topics that we talked about from the Southern Utah retreat I got to go to that I loved was when Dana Moore talked about bringing the get to energy. So, in other words, I get to be here, I get to lead with love, I get to do this thing, and trying to take out the have to energy and even the verbiage of saying, I have to do this or I have to go do that. I get to. It's an honor, it's a privilege to get to do so many of the things that we talk about in terms of, oh, I have to do that. And so even as, moms doing the dishes or taking our kids places, all those things, when we really think about it, we know that we get to do those things and a lot of the things with our business too. It's a privilege and it makes it more fun. It makes us more full of gratitude when we bring that get to energy to it. So a lot of what we talked about was just how are you showing up? And I wanted to delve into that a little bit more because we know habits are essential, but we also know habits alone aren't enough. We can go through the motions, but without the heart, it's not going to be enough. Authenticity is really the best tool we have. It's super attractive. Nobody else can be us, right? So we talked about how we need to tap into that, to figuring out the type of person we want to show up as, and knowing that we need to do the habits, but we also have to have the belief. We have to have the authenticity. And one of the things that we talked about at leadership this year was we actually had Hal Elrod as our guest, and he as our keynote speaker, and he was talking about the way that we start our day, and that's how we really live our lives. Is how we start our day. And so we talked about that and the miracle morning concept, and also just having that mindset that we can't change it, that kind of 5-minute rule. So if you missed that one, we talked about that a little bit more a couple months ago. But just the fact that we can't change the past, we get to make choices right now, today, of where we're going in the future. And doTERRA actually decided to start this series of what they're calling was it global peak performance calls. And that's with Hal Elrod. It started in July. It continues for 5 months, once a month. And so I haven't gotten a chance to listen to the recording. Has anybody
Good.
else listened to the recording from the peak performance calls with
Huh?
Hal Elrod? Did anybody get a chance to do that yet?
The flavoring is different.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm trying to see who's talking. Okay, there we go. Sorry. If anybody had a chance to listen to that. So it was supposed to be anyone who went to leadership got access, also all golds and above. So I know that didn't apply to everyone, but they have shared the recordings too. And that really was just so that they didn't overload the calls with too many people. If you are in that category, you went to leadership, you're a gold or above, you can register and attend the rest of those calls. I've heard they were really good. I need to go back and listen to the one from this month. I think it was last week, but they did also send the recording out for anybody to listen to. So I'm going to put those in the chat. The recording is a really long link for some reason. It's the second one. The first one is the registration. So if you want to get in on the remainder of those calls with Hal, it's really specific to wellness advocates and growing in the ways that he teaches. So the miracle morning method is what he's most well known for, and it contains 6 specific steps. They're silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing or journaling. And you can do each of those for just 1 minute, is what he talks about. It does not have to be like you're doing 30 minutes of each one, right? That would be impossible for most of us most days. So super easy. You could start with just 6 minutes, or you can take more time with the ones you want to. Maybe you have 6 minutes some days, and maybe other days you have 60 minutes. So do what works for you. There is an app, the Miracle Morning app. It also really helps if you want to challenge yourself to 30 days. I know some of us have done that, and it was really helpful. And you can just X out of the paid version every day. So then you can use the features of tracking your savers daily. That's what the SAVERS acronym relates to, those 6 habits that he talks about. And you can track those in the app. And I do feel that that was really helpful for me to stay on track with it. Even though, having your phone out and using it is kind of counterintuitive to some of the habits, but at least just going back later and tracking that you did it is helpful for staying on track with 30 days if that's a goal you want to have. But before I get into the first habit, I will say some people do also feel it's hard to start with silence, because if it's early in the morning and you're just waking up, a minute or two of silence can put you right back to sleep, right? So feel free to change these up. Do them in the order that works for you. SAVERS is spelled out in an acronym as a way to remember the habits. It's not an order that you have to do them, and you don't have to follow them in that order. So maybe you want to start with movement. Maybe you want to start with writing, something that works better for your brain first thing in the morning. So we're going to go through each of these. So again, the acronym is SAVERS, and it starts with silence. And we have different leaders who are going to come on and just share some ways that they have put these into practice. I thought this was so helpful when we did this at our Builder Retreat. And it was inspiring to me too, to maybe even look at some of them a little differently or personalize it to how I want to practice that habit. Because to be honest, the book doesn't totally resonate with me in all ways. Hal Elrod's way of thinking about them doesn't always resonate with me, but I think it's a great concept. So it's kind of, just learning to glean what works for me, what works with my beliefs and my faith. Some of the things he teaches don't, but that's okay. We can still apply some of these concepts and habits. And I still feel like the savers are such a great concept to follow. So silence is the first one. I'm going to talk about that. And really, that can be deep breathing. It can be prayer. Again, it could just be a minute or two. It's really just about quieting the mind, and it calms your nervous system. So this means no phone alerts, no notifications on, no external noise if possible, although some people do find light instrumental music helps them kind of get into a better place for focusing and concentrating rather than complete silence. And that can be hard to get used to for some people if you're used to noise all the time. So, allow for what works for you, but pay attention to how you feel and think about how you want to feel. So at the beginning of your day, I feel like it's just such a great thing to think, how do I feel right now? And how do I want to feel? And one thing Hal did talk about that I thought was helpful was think about a memory or an experience or even a person who brings about the way you want to feel, or maybe even an experience, a memory about the last time you felt that way. So if you're thinking about, I just really want to feel at peace right now, or I just really want to feel joy. When was the last time you felt that? Can you focus on that? Can you take yourself back to that and think about that for a couple of minutes? You can set a timer for 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however much time you have, and just get into a focused place of enjoying the silence. For me, a lot of times it is just starting the day with a couple of minutes of silent prayer. Silence itself, though, it has a lot of benefits. And I found this really fascinating when I looked it up. So for mental and physical health, it improves your concentration. When there's no external noise, the brain can focus better, whether that's on the task at hand or just on getting you ready for the day. That's really beneficial for work, but also for education, relationships, all kinds of things. It enhances your creativity. How many parents already know that when your kid's like, I'm bored? Good. Boredom is good for you. Find something to do with that. Go get creative, right? So silence can unlock creativity and allow innovative ideas, and that can really let those flourish, right? It also increases your self-awareness, so it can help people kind of cultivate personal growth in that way that you can't cultivate personal growth if you're never thinking about it, if you're never sitting in silence and focusing and concentrating. It reduces your stress. So it helps people shut down kind of the body's physical response to stress, and it nurtures this sort of mental clarity and inner calmness that nothing else really does quite the same way, which in turn improves mental health. So it can promote just helping to manage your emotions more effectively, helping you feel less anxious, maintaining good mental health. And you combine that with maybe putting on your favorite calming oils, some adaptive balance, Serenity or something, if that's something that helps you get into that place of silence and not feel anxious about it, and you just enhance those effects. It also is found that just silence itself reduces blood pressure. It's just kind of crazy to think that silence alone, it has other health benefits, but reduced blood pressure is one that's actually been measured. So when you regularly cultivate silence in your life, you're able to get into a calm, focused state when you need to. So maybe when things really are chaotic around you, you're actually able to get into a calm place more easily because you regularly practice doing this in your daily life already. It's like training your mind and your emotions to know how to calm down. So I thought those were some cool benefits of silence, along with just the mental clarity part, the focus part, that there's actual physical benefits that have been able to be measured now, and that it does train you to be able to get into a place of calmness even more easily. So that is the first S of SAVERS. And then the next letter is A. And so that is affirmations. And Kay covered this. Miss Kay covered this for us. And some of you are Facebook friends with her. You've known her a long time. Maybe you haven't actually been on a Zoom with her before, but I know she's inspiring to a lot of people. And I loved how she covered affirmations for us. So Kay, take it away. Oh, yes, you need to unmute.
But Crystal, I didn't. I did visualization.
Oh, you did. Oh, that's right. Oh, you're right. I don't know how I messed up.
Yeah,
it was between
like,
those two.
So okay, I'm like, oh, I'm signed up for visualization, and then I saw you, and I was like, why am I doing visualization?
Oh, I totally messed that up. I'm
it's
sorry.
Okay. I can do affirmations if Kay will just do her regular.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I got it mixed up.
Yeah,
Dave
that's cool.
wasn't able to be here, and I mixed up which one of you had which one. Sorry about that, Lacey, to put you on the spot.
Well, when I saw your face, Kay, I was like, oh no, we need to let Kay take that again, please. But then I was confused also. Anyway, they're kind of hard to keep track of. So, and they all build on each other a little bit and kind of intermingle. And I think any element from this whole lineup that you can take and actually enact, it's like when people start with oils, they're like, okay, I could get the every oil kit, or maybe it's just not even worth starting. And I'm like, the most important part is to do something, right? Like to get it, the perfect kit is not really that important. It's just to start the ball rolling and do the thing you're actually going to do. So anyways, that said, affirmations are really fun for me. I like to do them. I also like to get them from places that they're prevalent. So, you can read through Psalms, and there's a lot of affirmations in there that you can kind of just steal from David. But you also can find a lot of good options on the internet. If you just search for affirmations, you can search for specific things. If you don't feel like you're kind of coming up with the thing on the spot that you want. The thing about affirmations is sometimes people get stuck in the idea of like, I can say this thing, but my brain knows it's not true. And there is a workaround that can trick your brain too, that we actually had a guy come and do a training with us, and he wrote a book, and now I don't remember the name. Maybe Angela will remember, but you can kind of trick your brain a little bit too with affirmations. And instead of saying, traditionally an affirmation might sound something like, I am wealthy and healthy and my children obey me all the time. That's a little bit of an exaggeration. But that could be an affirmation that you could say. And it's really about kind of, instead of filling your mind with a negative thought, you're filling your head with an affirmative thought. And that's a challenge as a human, always. It's always going to be a challenge to do that. Molly wants to listen. Molly, sit down and listen to this. It's important. Anyways, so affirmations are a way of us taking that opportunity in the morning and saying, okay, I'm like, when we pick out our clothes to wear, we say, oh, I feel like wearing a skirt today. I feel like wearing jeans today. I feel like wearing sweats today, whatever. We get to decide. When we pick our attitude, affirmations are sort of a way of choosing what attitude we're going to approach the day with. And so affirmations often can feel a little hokey. And when you watch like a Saturday Night Live skit about somebody who's doing self-development, they're usually making fun of people who are saying affirmations. I'm strong, I'm beautiful. There's one that's like really popular, and everybody likes me. Like what's that one? I don't know. Anyway, but you can make them much more personal, and you can make them much more. I'm going to tell you two tricks. The one trick, first off, is to think of something that you're really challenged with, like you're struggling with it and you feel like you're not making the progress that you really want to make. And I'm going to say, go ahead and write this down right now. something that you're struggling with and just say, I'm not good at blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to think of an example that's relevant for our conversation right now. I'm not good at getting people on LRP. That would be a really good example. I'm not good at follow-up. I'm not good at meeting new people. Like, these are some examples. And then after you've written that down, you can put a comma and write yet. And by adding the yet, you're shifting from the frame of like, that's just who I am, to I'm on a path towards learning. And then you can follow that up with some affirmations that build upon that idea. I'm open and capable of learning how to be good at blah, 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 would be a really great affirmation, and a way to take something that's negative that you feel and, you know, is probably valid. Like, you maybe have some good examples, like Crystal was saying at the beginning, like that activity, you know, I can do this all day long, and I've had to like sort of jolt myself out of it from time to time, but I can think of all the things that have fallen through that I did not successfully do. And again, it's a perpetual cycle of like proving my negative thoughts right. And it's like, what came first, the negative thought or the failure? It's hard to say, right? So we need to just jump off of that train, and this can be a really great and easy way to do that. Another way of approaching affirmations is to think about asking yourself a question. And that makes your brain search for answers. So this is it Noah St. John, and I don't remember the name of his book, but it's like about asking questions, asking the right questions. And so you can say something along the lines of, you might be struggling financially right now, right? You're like, oh, I'm struggling so much. I can't pay the bills. So instead of, letting that run and then looking for evidence to prove your theory right, which is what we all tend to do, right? We're like, we have that thought, and then we're looking for all the things that make us so smart, and understanding our true state of being. And our true state of being is really like where we're at mentally, because that's the only thing we actually have control of in any given situation. And I think it's Viktor Frankl who wrote the book. He was a Holocaust survivor, and he just wrote this amazing book, and it's all about just being able to control your mind, and affirmations give us this opportunity. But anyway, back to my point, is to take something that you want. So we're talking about wealth, and you can say something like, instead of money flows to me constantly, which is a lovely thing to say, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. But if you want to turn it up a notch, you can say, why is money always flowing to me constantly? And then you have this question, and you're like trying to figure out, well, why? I don't know why, right? Like, you might not believe that that's happening really, but when you start to ask the question, you start to say, instead of like, oh, why do I keep failing? Why do people not follow me? Why can't I find any leaders? Why can't I, all of those things, you're just flipping it on its head, and you're starting to find the answer to why things are working out so well. And so that's just a form of affirmations that I think is really fun. And affirmations, again, are just this opportunity to take the thing that you're struggling with and flipping it around so that your emotional state is towards the positive and not focused on the negative. So you can kind of take that element and run with it anywhere. And I love it as a part of the morning routine. I love writing my own, because I think we really do connect with them, but I think it's very helpful to get them from someone else to start, so that we can really kind of get in a group, because it can be really hard. It's like starting a lawnmower, or not a lawnmower. It's like starting a weed whacker. Raise your hand if you've started a weed whacker lately. Yeah, they're the worst. I hate weed whackers. We can put a man on the moon maybe, but we can't get a weed whacker to start or press up a button. I'm suspicious. Anyways, not to turn this into a joke. So really, affirmations are really simple, and writing them down and having them stuck in places, not just to read in the morning, but also to have kind of just, around you all the time, is really important. Anyway, yeah, that's it. And that was my affirmations on a fly. Just imagine how good it would be.
Wow, I know. Wow, you're just amazing. I like that reverse psychology bit, though, just to kind of tricking your mind into believing it. But I think that's one of the things I loved about doing this together at the Builder Retreat too, is sometimes we think of these as just like unreachable, or we don't have really the words for it, or it's kind of this woo-woo thing, this concept of like, ooh, visualization and affirmations. That sounds, I don't know, even kind of weird, and only, like you said, that's on a SNL skit, not in real life.
Well, actually, Angela has a really fun thing I'm going to call on her, because she loves Nathan Bargatze, and I don't know, did she share this at our thing? I think she did.
Did
Or maybe
she?
it was just at dinner. Angela, share the thing about tricking. We're so smart we can.
Oh yeah, how he has a funny joke about your brain has a smart part and a dumb part, and that your dumb part of your brain is so smart that your smart part of your brain can trick the dumb part of your brain into thinking what you want it to think. So
Yeah.
Yes, that was really good. That's true. And that's really what affirmations kind of boil down to. And Dana, yes, and it's funny, I even texted you. This is what Dana shared about affirmations. And then I messed up which one was which.
Yeah, I actually scrolled back through when I saw Kay and I was like, maybe I'm remembering it all wrong anyway, but I'm glad it worked out.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
But I typed that in the chat because Dana had kind of shared just a little formula to create your affirmation, just thinking about what
perfect.
you
Yeah.
really want, why you want it, who are you committed to becoming to create that, what are you committed to doing to attain it, and that can help you write your statement. So I really want to be, and whether that's at a specific rank or maybe it's another area of your business, I really or your life, I really want to be the best homeschool mom I can be. Maybe, why do you want that? So really digging into the why, and then who are you committed to being and what are you committed to doing to make those things happen? And that's your affirmation, just a simple statement. This is a goal I have. This is how I'm going to get there. And that can morph from there. Like Lacey said, too, looking up other people's affirmations can really help. But yeah, Reed commented confirmation bias. Totally. Absolutely. That's very true. Okay. So now we're going to go to Kay with the V of Savers. Go for it, Kay.
Okay, so visualization, I kind of look at it as being the other side of the coin from the affirmations, because when you do an affirmation, you're saying it out of your mouth, or you're like seeing it with your eyes because you wrote it down. And then the visualization, it captures your imagination, which takes control of your heart, leads you to believe in something so strongly that your mind then produces the action to bring it to pass. So I think that both are like equally important and intrinsically tied, because that your visualizer, whoa, I can't say that. When you visualize it, you're seeing it in your mind's eye, and it does something inwardly in you, so that it just inspires you. It sets you out to take action. The same as when you hear your lips say it in an affirmation, it stirs something up in you. It convinces you that action's necessary. So the human ability to conceptualize.
Okay, can I say something really quick?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Say it.
Just because what you just said is really important. And I actually have done this exercise before, and it's painful, but it's really powerful, because hearing yourself say something is really critical, because we're our critic, right? Like, we are first and foremost, very rarely are we the one who like tells us how great we are, which is fine. But if you record yourself saying your affirmations and then listen to yourself saying that, record it, listening to that recording, it's a really, really powerful activity. So, and I maybe even bring tissues, but I'm glad you said that, because it's not just about reading it. You do want to actually have it come out of your mouth.
Yeah. And it goes along with the visualization, because if you record it and you're listening to yourself say it, then you can put that imagination to use at the same time. Like you can kind of meld these together, just don't leave out any bits. So this ability to conceptualize and visualize and imagine, God made us that way. Like Crystal kind of referenced the woo-woo, visualization is new age. That's garbage. We're created in God's image. He's intensely creative and imaginative, and he made us to be the same way. So it's not spooky. It's not new age. All through the Bible, you can see people who turn their thoughts purposely towards God's will, and their ability to visualize a lot. You'll see the word meditate a lot in the Bible, like Psalm 119, 148. My eyes are awake before the watches of the night, that I may meditate upon your promise. That's seeing the promise of God. That's literally putting your mind upon it, seeing it in your imagination, capturing it, and then going after it. So I want you to ask yourself, what has God promised you for your doTERRA business, for your personal life, for whatever, right? What has he promised you? Have you written those things down? Do you know what those things are? Have you really examined where you're going in your life? And so I'm going to challenge you today to see that as a fulfilled promise. When you visualize something, it triggers what neurologists call mirror neurons. Think about how you learn, right? You watch somebody do something. You might watch them do it 2 or 3 times before you try it yourself, right? So visualizing, you watch yourself in your mind's eye doing something, succeeding, accomplishing it. You learn from watching yourself in your imagination. It sounds kind of crazy, but that's a neurological reflex that God put there. Like, that's how we learn. It also unlocks creative solutions. So there'll be times when you're visualizing, you're working through some steps, some process, and all of a sudden there's this epiphany, right? Write it down, learn from my fail, because I've had epiphanies and then been like, wait, what was that? If you are a really visual or creative person, this can lead to artistic expression. Let's see, how do you start visualizing? The framework's pretty simple. We're gonna take a couple of minutes, and then Crystal, do you want us to do it, or do you want me to just share how to do it?
I think that having people do it along with you would be great. It's a small enough group. I think we could do that.
Okay. So first, everybody take your phone. If you don't have your notifications turned off, make sure that that's off and that any other distractions are gone. When you're doing this as part of your SAVERS, I like to have a special place to go. I like to sit out on the back porch and, listen to the birds and whatever, but set yourself apart for that moment. So for tonight, just off with the notifications, throw your phone in the ocean, do something. And then determine what you want to visualize. So you may already have your goals set and written down. You may have like a list of things that you know that you want to accomplish. And it doesn't have to be huge. This doesn't have to be like your presidential diamond goal. This can be, I'm going to enroll 5 people this month, right? It can be something beginner level. It can be something advanced. Doesn't matter. I frequently, if you don't know what I do other than doTERRA, I own a bail bonds company and a fugitive recovery company. So life can be interesting at times. But I will sit and visualize things that could happen during an arrest and like walk through what I'm anticipating is going to go down in like 100 different ways, because I learned from that and I learned how to be prepared for all of the curveballs. So take a minute and just pick something that you're going to use for this exercise. Something, let it be something simple for tonight. And then I want you to just sit quietly. A lot of times people will close their eyes. You don't have to, right? And just picture what you really want. Picture what that goal is. Get an image in your mind. And don't get too tied up on the picture part. Some people don't think in pictures, they think in words, they different expressions. Don't worry about that too much. But just open yourself up. What do you see? What do you feel? What do you smell, hear, touch, taste? Immerse yourself into that visualization. Then what you're going to do is picture yourself doing the things that are required to get there. Like, start with that end goal. What are the steps, right? And then see yourself doing those steps starting right now, right in the moment. So if you were visualizing running a marathon, you're going to start by tying your shoes and stepping out the door. If you want to rank advance, you're going to picture inviting people to learn more, making sales, finding builders. But here's a caveat. No faces but your own. This is about you, not about what other people might do for you. Expectations are premeditated resentment. Don't do it, right? You don't want to put yourself in a position of manipulating other people. So other people are obviously involved. So you might see them as the little picture enrollments, the little people in the graphic tree. You might see faceless people, or you might see yourself as if you were on television. So take a moment and just work through what those steps are. Then as you go step by step, get to what that end goal is and let yourself feel it. I'm really convinced that the feeling part is just as important, maybe more important than the seeing part, right? You've accomplished it. It's done. Visualize the reward that you get from all of that effort and how that makes you feel. Maybe you feel a massive sense of relief when your doTERRA check comes and you make your car payment, right? Maybe the strands of confetti are falling on your face when you walk as Diamond at Gala, right? Whatever it is, let yourself feel it. Your goal right now is to just feel so empowered in that vision that you're invincible. And then once you get there, just take a breath and just come back to the conversation. It's a little harder to do this on Zoom than it was in person. Now, I will say, and I'll end shortly, it's really common to feel some strong emotions when you do this. If you have any kind of unworthiness, incompetence, inadequacy, shame kind of feelings, those may come bubbling up. Like if you really struggle with seeing yourself win, God's bringing that emotion to the surface so that he can heal it. And just take yourself out of it and go meet him there and let him heal it. This is also really good. And if anybody like wants more information about this, I'll talk, because this is like a passion topic of mine lately. Visualization can help retrain your F5 trauma response: fight, flight, fear, fawn, or fugue, right? Everybody's got one of them that's hardwired. We can all go to any of them. Sometimes those can utterly defeat us in situations, right? And you can teach yourself how to overcome that response with visualization.
It's really good.
So yeah, that's it.
What was the Psalm 119 reference again?
119, 148.
Okay, thank you. People were asking.
Hey, is it fight, flight, fawn, fade, or feud? Is that what you said?
Fight, flight, freeze, like the deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fawn is when you just and you we used to call it sucking up when I was in school. I don't know what it's called now. And then fugue is when you're just so oblivious that a bomb could go off or somebody could jump on you and you're like, what just happened?
Fugue.
Fugue, F-U-G-U-E.
I'm glad I asked.
Fugue. Yeah. Yeah, it's a passion topic of mine these days.
Interesting.
That's really good.
So-
I think that hits some chords for people for sure, Kay. And that's
Cool.
yeah, that's something that I think, I mean, I've heard of that too. That's really used a lot in counseling now, and therapists use visualization because of that. It's really powerful in retraining your brain and helping you move past whatever place you're stuck in, whether that's a bad habit or addiction or just in the past, something that happened that you haven't been able to overcome. And so that's been a really powerful tool. And just imagine if you did a little bit of that every day for your business, but also for your life. And so this is, yes, we're talking about business things, but like Kay said, some of you might have visualized reaching a rank or, walking a carpet or paying off your car or something like that. But there's also just, what it feels like to help someone and to really empower others. And that for me is so powerful when I imagine it's like I've walked the carpet and had the confetti, right? But I want that for other people. And then, the way she described picturing them is like, I don't know all their faces, nor is it about them and manipulating them, but it could just be the faceless people or the back of their head or just me cheering like I'm on, you should, like she said, on television. I love that when we did it in person too. I had that same image as like I'm in the stands cheering for people on my team who are experiencing that for the first time. And that is
Yeah.
like, that's that thing that can like bring tears to your eyes and get you emotional. So I love it. Thank you so much for walking us through that again, even though it is different on Zoom, but it's still very powerful. And then I wanted to read what Romana just typed in. It's how God recreates my past each day. I see it through his eyes instead of through my limited dark lenses. And I know she has shared in those along that line in the past too, but asking God in the visualization moments to show me the truth and the good in those trauma places. And what only he can redeem, right? Only he can redeem those places. So it is really a beautiful tool. So thank you so much for that. And we're going to move into something really practical with exercise, movement with Angela, our resident physical therapist here. And I actually like to start with this one most of the time when I'm doing this because I feel like it just kind of gets the blood flowing and just going into silence immediately. Like I said earlier, I'll probably fall back asleep on the couch or something, but starting with movement and exercise is really a great one if you want to switch up the order. But I'll let Angela tell you more about that.
Yeah, so this will be really not very long because exercise is rather self-explanatory. But I will give you a couple of tips on how to incorporate it into the savers a little bit more easily because just because of practicing it, you kind of have to think through what that means on a daily basis. So for me, one big tip is that don't try to make your saver exercise necessarily like your full-blown exercise routine. For example, like if you already, try to walk 45 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day, or you do weightlifting, or you do jogging, or you do, some other kind of regular exercise that you kind of have in a routine already, or even just an intention, right? Maybe you follow a program, a video, something like that. Trying to put that into your savers, it feels a little bit rushed. Even if you do the full 1 hour of savers, that's 20 minutes allotted for exercise. And for most people, that's not enough time to really get a full workout in. For me, I prefer to add a short, even usually less than 20 minutes, maybe 10, or even if you're really rushed, maybe just 1 or 2 or 5 minutes of an exercise segment in the savers, but don't leave it out just because you're going to do a real workout later, because it really does help to get the blood flowing to your brain, helps you thinking more clearly. It just helps you to be more alert and focused on what you're doing. Like Crystal said, maybe even doing it first is a good option. So that's my practical advice on how to make it part of your savers. Don't necessarily take your full-blown exercise routine and try to put it into your saver. Just add this as a little small burst of exercise. And as far as what type to do, of course, there's all kinds of exercise that can work. Going on a short walk. There are like YouTube videos, so many YouTube videos leading you through various exercise routines, whether it's stretching or yoga or body weight resistance or even just quick or little aerobic exercises. And you can literally type into YouTube 4-minute exercise routine, 5-minute exercise routine, 10-minute exercise routine, and it will find a video of any length of any kind of exercise that you want to do. So that's the easiest thing for me because it kind of takes the brain work out of it, right? You just know that you need a quick little 5 or 10 or 15 minutes of exercise to do, and somebody's going to guide you through it. And then, of course, you can add resistance, you can do body weight exercises. I think for the morning, just kind of movement and stretching, positioning is a really nice way to start the day. So that tends to be what I gravitate toward. And then I do other aerobic or strength training exercise later. So that's pretty much it. Don't injure yourself, and but don't leave it out just because you know you're exercising on a different schedule or routine.
Yeah, that's really good. 'Cause I do exercise usually every day, a long walk or a weight routine or something. And it's been a habit I've had for a long time. So sometimes I would be tempted to skip it. Oh, I know I'm going to exercise later. But
Mhm.
I don't always make enough time for stretching. And that is so key, our mobility as we get older. And so I use the SAVERS time specifically just to stretch for a few minutes. And it really makes a big difference for me because I know that's something that I want to continue to increase or not to lose at least some of the flexibility, and regular exercise routines don't always promote that. So, or sometimes I rush past some of that. So I like that it kind of helped me to just start with a few days or just like I said, getting your blood pumping a little bit, doing whether it was just like a few jumping jacks or something, just even a short walk instead of the longer routine. So and when we did this in person, we had the exercise bands, and Angela led us through some exercises with those. So that was really nice to incorporate actually in the middle of a builder retreat day when you're just sitting a lot, getting up and moving and doing that in the middle of that was really nice too. So
Another thing that he recommends in the book, which I actually think is an important part, it's not part of the savers, but if you're going to be doing a little bit of exercise, it actually can make a big difference, is that he recommends drinking like a full 8 to 12 ounces of water, like right first thing before you start your savers. And it is a really quick way to kind of rehydrate yourself from having slept all night long. He recommends actually adding a little bit of honey and sea salt, but what do we have that could be a good substitute for that in the mornings? Now we have our recharge, so we have our electrolyte mix. So if you are struggling to get that in, you have to save the water, cute lace. And then but at least get the water in, drink that full glass of water. First of all, you've already got one under your belt for the day, but also, again, it really makes a difference in how awake and ready you feel to tackle the savers.
mhm, that makes sense. Yeah, she was putting in the chat SAVERS or maybe swappers. I don't know.
Add the water in there. Yeah.
Yes, and the water in there. Hydrating is important, but yes, recharge. Maybe just put another R in there somewhere instead.
Right.
So, or power punch. Maybe we need a P and shavers. There we go. Hydrate. Love it. We're gonna make our own before this is over. Okay, so the next is the R, and I liked how we did this too. So I need some interaction here rather than just having one person talking about reading, because we all know, leaders are readers, and we want to continue, whether it's audio books, Audible, whether it's actually sitting and reading with your eyes, which is what I usually prefer, but I do find being on the go, I listen a lot too. So I kind of do both. But what are some books? What are some personal development tools or people that you really like to tune into? So we shared this. I hope that some of you will unmute and share or type it in. Who are some of the people that inspire you the most, whether it is a specific book or an author or a podcaster or anything like that? We had a list. I don't actually have it with me. My notebook that I had there is not right beside me. So I don't have that list to cheat from and look at. But we made a list of them at our builder retreat. And one of the things I mentioned was don't forget that doTERRA has a lot of stuff that we didn't have even just a few years ago. So they have the podcast specifically for builders, and that's a great thing to tune into. And there are also a lot of different calls, like they're doing the calls with Hal Elrod, things like that to help us. John Maxwell, that's good ones from Sue. Anything of his on leadership is amazing. I've read a lot of his books and I like to listen to his podcast too. He has a lot of different people. It's not always just him. He has co-leaders and he interviews a lot of different people about leadership topics. And a lot of times I'll just scroll through and find some of those. So some more people are typing in here. The Big Leap, yes, that's a classic one, Kay, and that is awesome for some of the things even that Kay talked about too. Kathy Heller, Abundance Ever After podcast is amazing. You mentioned that before, and I did not look into it yet, so I need to do that. Charles, I don't remember how to say his last name. I've seen it before. Duig. Super Communicators. Yes, that's right. You talked about him and that book before, Reed, and that sounded amazing. And I didn't look into that one either. So guys, we need to be making lists here. Need to put it in my notebook with all our lists that we came up with at our retreat too, but I don't have that right beside me. So those were a couple of great ones. Are there any books that you just really feel helped you transform the way that you think about your purpose in your life and your business, or that you recommend to new builders even to maybe think about network marketing differently, or just entrepreneurship, anything like that? Those are things that you could add to your list, or things that just have helped you to, the first circle. Yeah, making the first circle work. That's a great one. So that's talking about network marketing, and again, it's not about what others can do for you, but how you are the example and the leader. Start with why. Yes, that's a good one. One of my favorites is Atomic Habits. I love James Clear's stuff. And a lot of times, if you really resonate with an author, you can get on their email list. So I get little weekly short newsletters from him that have just little sound bites that are really inspiring. Zig Ziglar recordings. Yes, those are great. Millionaire Success Habits. Kay is holding up a book. Okay. Dean something.
Dean.
Yeah. Okay. Graziosi.
Yeah, Dean Graziosi. This is really, really good. Like, this is a good airplane book, and it's like a lot of nuggets. So if you don't read the whole thing at once, it's not like the end of the world. You can read a little bit and digest it.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. Okay, cool. That sounds amazing. Mind Shift by Erwin McManus. Okay, good. So we're getting some different ones from, there's Simon Sinek and The Go Giver. Yes, great ones. Ange, making sure I didn't skip any. Okay. Yeah, we're getting some different ones from what we've even had. Yeah, I love those. Those are great. And there's some that are a little bit drier, but like Kay said, I just digested them more slowly. So I'm trying, Essentialism and Deep Work. Those were ones I read when I was really trying to do some deep diving on focusing and getting into that deep work, and that even the silence topic itself, why that's so important and what it does for your mind. So I went through a phase of really learning about focus and what happens differently in our brains when we have like a set time of focus, like even 20 minutes. And there was a lot in there about that I learned about even having notifications off, what that does. Because every time you get a notification, it disrupts your focus, and it takes several minutes to get back to that place. If you're like in a focused place of working, and then a notification goes off and you get distracted, you can't immediately get back into that focused place. And so there was a lot in there just about turning off notifications, which, goes along with the silence, but doing that even during your work time, not just first thing in the morning for a few minutes, but having dedicated times throughout the day where you are getting into a focused work. Mel Robbins is also great. She talks a lot about confidence. Yes, that is a really good one. Can we post our recommendations on Facebook later? Yes, that would be great. And then we could also pull in the Facebook groups just to say, what else would you add for your career? I missed that one the first time. Yeah, awesome. I will copy those and put them in a post for sure. So if you have any others that come to mind as we continue, just add those in here. We're going to end with our last SAVERS with Sue. That's the last letter is S again. And that stands for scribing, just because it goes along well with the acronym, but it's just journaling, writing, and she's going to get more into that. I'm going to share an image that she shared with me. I'm going to put that in the chat. That's really a helpful visual tool. Oh, there's one more. Finding flow. Oh, and the slight edge. Okay, those are awesome. All right, I'm going to let Sue take it away now. Oh, she's got to unmute.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Hey, everybody. So I'm going to talk tonight about scribing, but another word would be writing, journaling, just getting your pen and paper out rather than just thinking. If we're actually doing something and writing it down, we'll remember it. And it helps to put down on paper, and you can go back and read it later. But what I've started doing is keeping a journal, and I call it my gratitude journal. So if you want to be a happier person, and there's been a study done where a lot of elderly people and successful people were interviewed, and one thing that they all had in common was they practiced gratitude. So if you practice gratitude, it's just being thankful for your life, for things in your life, people in your life, and having a positive mindset. Get rid of that stinking thinking and that negativity, that negative mindset, and start thinking about positive things. But we tend to gravitate toward the negative, and we think about our problems and what's not working. So when we say negative things, that really gets it in our brain, and we start to believe those negative things. So that's why it's so important to get rid of the negative. You have to replace it with something positive. We can't just tell ourselves, don't think about that negative thing. To get rid of that negative thought, you have to replace it with something positive. So this is just a little object lesson. I just picked up this snow globe, or not snow globe. It's actually from Scotland. When my daughter graduated from high school, she went on a mission trip to Scotland, so she brought this back to me. But when I'm looking at this thing, let's pretend this is our problem. You may be going through marital problems. Maybe you have a problem with one of your children. Maybe you have a broken relationship with a dear friend. Whatever it is, we tend to focus on those problems in our life, and they become bigger and bigger. So if I hold this problem up and I hold it in front of me and I'm just so focused on that, I can't see what's around me. I can't see all those people in my life that love me and that I love them, and how God has blessed me with all these things in my life. Well, we're so focused on this big problem. I do it. I've done it before. So this is a good object lesson. Let's say you're at the beach and there's this beautiful sunset or sunrise right in front of you at the beach, but you hold up a rock and you're just looking at it. If you hold that rock in your hand, you're not going to see the beautiful horizon and what's out there. So it's just an object lesson that we tend to just make our problems so big that we can't see all the good that's happening in our life. So that's basically what this is. And this thing that I don't know if you can see, this handout has been really freeing for me. It's things I can't control. So outside the circle are things you can't control, but you can control what's on the inside. So really, I have this in my Bible, and I look at the things that I can't control, what others think about me, what others say about me. Can you control that? The attitudes of others, only God can change their heart. How others feel, how others react. Here's two good ones: the past and the future. Can we control the future? Can we control who's gonna win the presidency? Can we control what's gonna happen with our economy? No, we can't. So why worry about all those things we can't control? Let's focus on the things on the inside of the circle, which is my boundaries, how I let other people affect me, when and if I forgive others, how I speak to others, how I treat them. Do I speak with kindness? Where I give my time, energy, and attention. I can control that. That is something I can control. And so this is just really freeing to focus on the good things. And so then we start to write down the good things, right? So just take 3 to 5 minutes in the morning at the end of your miracle morning. Get pen and paper. If you have a book, great. If not, great. And then just start writing down. So let's talk about what gratitude is. It's a general appreciation of life, an authentic positivity that shines over everything you do. Practicing gratitude means accepting things as they are while also holding on to our appreciation of things we value or have. So gratitude is the opposite of entitlement. Do you know people, do you have some people in your life that I deserve to have this? You know, why do they have to have it? I need to have it. I deserve it. We just think we're so entitled in this country, in America, because we don't have it like people in poor countries that don't even know where their next meal's coming from. We have so many things to be thankful for, but we need to start thinking about all the good things that we have. People in other countries think that we're rich. Even if we're at lower class, they think we're rich because of all the things that we have. So gratitude is just being thankful for what we have. So just take a minute, just like Kay was thinking, think about that thing, that a goal that you have, and picture yourself. Well, start just sitting still in the morning and thinking about, what am I thankful for? What do I have in my life that I'm so thankful for? That's a gift from God. Every good and perfect gift is from above. So it takes 66 days to form a new habit. So I would encourage you to start keeping a gratitude journal. And if you've ever done this, put it in the chat. If you've done this, and maybe you're doing it now, maybe you've done it in the past. But if you've ever kept a gratitude journal, just put that in the chat and let us know and how it helped you. Writing things down is calming and clarifying. It helps you to remember, and it's a form of therapy that doesn't cost a dime. So just take some time in your life to be thankful for, and then tell them, if you're thankful for a person in your life, let them know. Write a little note. Write a thank you note. When I go on a trip, Randy always puts a note in my suitcase. Um, you know, Hope you have a wonderful time. I'm thankful for you. But it's always nice to get those notes from just an unexpected note. You should do it for your customers. Do it for your husband or wife. Do it for your kids. Put a little note in their lunchbox. Write a love letter to God, or just have some gratitude thoughts. Write it down of the people in your life and the things that you have, things that you're able to do that you're thankful for. So it's really helped me with this visual too of things that I can't control, because why waste time thinking about those things? But start writing down and thinking about things we can control and the things that we are thankful for, instead of just having this sense of entitlement, but being truly grateful for what God has given us. And that's it.
Thank you, Sue. I love that take on journaling. My mom and I have a really good friend who are very faithful journalers, like what went on in their day every single day. And I know I'll be reading that of my mom someday, but I'm not ever going to stick with doing that every single day. But the gratitude part, I did the 1,000 gifts, the Ann Voskamp challenge several years ago. And it was just as it happened, keeping a notebook out and handy. And as it happened, as you thought of anything to be grateful for, just going and numbering them until you got to 1,000. And then it becomes this habit, and you start realizing you're thinking differently, you're looking at the world differently, you're filled with more gratitude, which was kind of the point of getting to 1,000. Then you don't want to stop. So I liked what Kay said. If you use a paper planner, write it down as it happens throughout your planner. And that's a neat thing to look back on. Those are really praises, right? Those are answers to prayers, or sometimes unexpected little blessings. Samantha said, I journal every morning, helps me unload my thoughts, get it all out of my head. Yes, we talked a lot about that with Melissa and the CTFAR method of just like brain dump. Just get it out, good, bad, ugly, whatever, get it out. And then you can start with a clean slate. And you can also go back and analyze that and break it down and realize, like, where do I need to shift my thinking? Where do I need some affirmations and visualization to kind of fix some of this bad thinking, but also just to get it out of your head is really good. So let's see, had a counselor, Jacqueline said, had a counselor give me the challenge to write down 10,000 things I'm grateful for, made me look at specifics, not generalities, eyelashes, etc., everything. Yeah, it's true. To get that many things, it takes a lot of soul searching, thinking about everything that you have to be thankful for. Yeah, absolutely. And then Shamika shared a website, besttoday.com. I'm assuming that has something to do with gratitude. I'm not familiar with that. Morning pages in the morning. All right, that's great. There's a website he put in there too. Some of these, I'm going to save the chat so I can go back and copy some of the well, the book titles and things, but also some of the links that you have shared just to make sure. And then the image too that Sue shared. So I'm going to put that all together with the recording from tonight. And I'll share that in my group, and I'll make sure it gets shared in Tanya's group so you can find those somewhere, one of the business groups that you're in. And other leaders here, thank you so much for being here and helping explain how you put these into practice. Again, I'm inspired, and I've heard it all before, but we did miss a couple of our leaders who shared in our live session. They couldn't be here tonight. So thanks for filling in the gaps, Lacey, and just for being here to help everybody make sense of what that really looks like, because it can kind of feel abstract until you hear how people put it into practice, and then it makes so much sense and it inspires you and makes you want to do it, right? So who wants to do a 30-day Miracle Morning Challenge? Get the app or whatever, do it on your paper planner. Yeah, it's really great, and you'll make it your own as you do it. You'll realize this is what works best for me, or this is how I want exercise to look, or this is what visualization I need to incorporate, whatever it is. So you're going to love it. And yeah, well, I'll copy these links and book titles and put that all together. So watch for that probably tomorrow morning, our time here. So have a great night, everybody. We'll be back next week. Stephanie Katera is going to be leading us, talking, I believe, about sourdough, but also that could be applied to anything that you can teach people that can kind of start a community where you can incorporate oils and grow a local community from that. She has done that and has worked with others who've done that with sourdough, which is something I'm also doing. If you're not into sourdough, just come anyway, because you'll learn different concepts of how you can kind of start to build a community around the things that you already love to do or know how to do, and what that looks like in terms of translating it into your business being incorporated too. So there's some people who've been really successful with that, and we'll learn some tips from them, regardless of whether we ever want to do sourdough or not. So don't let that drive you away. Come learn from them anyway, the people she's going to be talking to. So we'll be here same time next week for that, and have a great week, and we'll see you then. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much to those who shared. I appreciate it.
Thank you.